There's always this argument with people who are into Batman where it's his real self, Batman, or Bruce Wayne. And I was always kind of interested in that.
I think that the Batman is psychologically and emotionally interesting. It's so much about the shadow self, which we all have.
Things about alter ego and identity and stuff. He believes in it so much. He believes it kind of elevates him as a creature. It is transformative to Bruce.
And I think it's actually his humanness in a world of superhumans that makes us all want to connect with him and explore him.
If the Batman's vengeance, what do you think the Riddler is?
Justice. Yeah, justice. A lot of it is about what's unfair, what feels fair and what's been unfair, and it's not fair that the corrupt are getting richer while we're suffering, you know. And it's justice, vengeance and justice, I think. Yeah.
You're not supposed to reject the Riddler outright. The Riddler's the Riddler because of a lot of horrible things that have happened prior to that.
When I was writing and thinking of this character in a way that felt like the Zodiac, that felt like a serial killer, what was important was that the Riddler is someone whose great power has to do with patterns.
The Riddler is a person who's done, who's fed up, and who I don't think can go another day letting Gotham City cycle through its corrupt roots again and again. I think he's probably blamed himself for all of the failings of his life. And I think once he discovered this corruption, he sees that maybe it wasn't all his fault. It's theirs.
Okay, then he goes off to your right. He has a very dark agenda, but he's also kind of brilliant. And he retreated the way that Batman retreats into his mission of becoming a vigilante. Comes back, passes. He retreats into numbers and puzzles. Goes far to your left so we can see. Because it's the one place where he can find control. Great. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's go through the whole thing again. Something about that made me think of Paul.
One of the first things that we talked about was like the two sides of trauma. And that really spoke to me.
The first conversation I had with Matt about it, I just knew he just had an angle on something. There was something about doing it as a noir. I mean, even though Batman is always kind of a noir, but like it's never just fully committing to that world.
The hell is this? Good cop, bad shit cop?
Who's the Riddler?
Riddler! How should I know?
Having the emotional backstory be the driving force for that character felt, good to me. The root of it is in the child. And what does it mean to be an orphan? You have a kid named Bruce Wayne who loses his parents, but ends up trying to do something good with that pain. And then you have the trauma of somebody who's lost his parents in a different way and who takes that pain and probably thinks he's doing something good, but it is maybe misguided or misdirected.
Normally, Batman seems to hold all the strings. The plan is entirely his, but really in this, he's still trying to figure out exactly what Batman is. And the Riddler seems to know secrets about Batman and Bruce that even Bruce didn't know. It's a very reactive version of Batman that I don't think we usually get.
And everybody just forgot about us. All they could talk about was poor Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne the orphan. Orphan?
I think seeing the Batman was probably one of those transcendent moments in his life, an aha moment where you project something onto that figure out there and you see some hidden piece of yourself or something that you want to be. Without the Batman, you would never have the Riddler.
Top speed, 159 after, take one.
What I wanted to do was have the Riddler lead us on a path where there are lots of possibilities when they meet at Arkham. I mean, that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I love the way that Paul and Rob played that scene.
I told you I'd see you in hell.
The Riddler doesn't just need Batman as inspiration. He needs him in a practical way too, because he does know his limitations. The Batman's style of combat is pretty fierce. That's not in Edward's wheelhouse.
My strength is up here. I mean, I had all the pieces, I had the answers, but I didn't know how to make them listen. You gave me that. I gave you nothing. You showed me what was possible.
I think it's more similar than Bruce would like to really admit. I think that's why it's extremely troubling for him by the end of it, because the only difference in a lot of ways is that the Riddler follows through and his justice is fatal.
Jesus, his next victim is Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
I think the connection is not just in the vigilante element or the political element. I think it's emotional.
It's almost a love story. In the course of that scene, it ends up being a terrible rejection for the Riddler because he's certain that he'll be embraced because they're both vigilantes. They're both righteous. They're both trying to go after the criminal element. And the Riddler is doing that, but he's doing it in the most twisted way. And he obviously has crossed a line that Batman wants to think he would never cross and is doing everything he can not to.
You showed me all it takes is fear and a little focused violence. You inspired me.
The Riddler calls that out in him. There's a lot of signs that Bruce wants to kill people. He even fears that in himself. But he wants to end up punishing the Riddler because it's, you know, he's being a mirror to Bruce's secrets.
You're out of your goddamn mind.
What?
When the Batman doesn't reciprocate as planned, it's heartbreaking. It's betrayal. I think he thought he had a friend.
No amount of pain and damage you inflict on people who have wronged you or wronged someone else, it's not gonna fix the situation, basically. That's basically the arc of Batman in this.
The thing that is so great about Batman, historically, culturally, and in this film, it's that space in between, which is where we really all live. That's so potent and powerful and true. I think it is about having heroes and having villains and exploring the space in between.